Hello, hello. Welcome on into another episode of the Whiskey Crusaders. I'm Will.
Not Matt.
On today's episode, we're going to be drinking on some Tullamore Dew, a blended Irish whiskey. Don't you forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Click that notification bell. Matt, what do you want to tell me about this particular Irish product?
Oh, it's a very, label's not super excited, but, nice. Been around since 1829. Tullamore Dew, blended Irish whiskey. In fact, the first blended Irish whiskey at that, so which we've never covered before. So I have a nice, beautiful, long history for you guys. I spent about 2.5 hours researching Tullamore Dew today. It was a good time. That's what we're filming later today than I expected to be. I was like, oh, this is actually interesting. So, all right, let's talk about Tullamore Dew. Like I said, founded in 1829 by the Molloy brothers, which eventually they were in a landlocked part of Ireland. But the important part is this thing called the Grand Canal, which runs through Ireland, which brought into them their empty casks and their coal for the stills and all that stuff. But on the way back out, they sent whiskey out to Dublin and to Shannon, which was very important. So otherwise, they'd be kind of screwed. But good for them. So anyway, then Michael Molloy passed away, and his nephew, Bernard Daly, came along, and he started producing this thing that's a pot still that was called Daly's Whiskey, and was sold well in Liverpool, London, and Australia. But the most important thing he did was hire this guy named Daniel E. Williams, henceforth D.E.W. on this bottle, which is where the Tullamore Dew comes from. That's why the Dew has those are actually, dots after them because they're his initials. Who started at 14 in 1862 at the distillery, helped running the grist mill there, and eventually become the head distiller and owner of Tullamore Dew. His name would eventually end up on the bottle. In 1887, they said, serving up for a man's due, of course, running a funny thing on his name. The other funny story was he also was apparently very wealthy because he was a really smart, intelligent man. He was able to bring in electricity, to bring into Tullamore. So it's like this is actually the city of Tullamore in Ireland. He brought electricity. He had the first motorized car, which was a delivery truck. He also was smart enough to open up 26 different merchant stores. So he made spirits, he made wine, he made everything. So and became the wealthiest man in Tullamore and was quite the salesman. Also brought in the first telephone. So they said that. So the funny thing is, there was an old wives' tale to basically evade the taxman. Is he would pipe in the whiskey from the distilleries to all his 26 stores. Of course, it's not true, but it was made a really good story when a man was getting his due through the. So they have somebody outside saying, "Oh, the pipes, oh, Danny boy," and that was about the fake pipes going from the distillery to the different stores. I think it's pretty funny. So, but it was great marketing. So he was an excellent marketer. So that's one of the funny things about him. So eventually he died in 1921, and his family took over the distillery. At that point in time, of course, we've now had prohibition start in the United States. We've had the Irish Civil War, have horrible taxes. It's not going well. But it's okay. We're still making whiskey. So in 1948, they started this thing called grain whiskey, which nobody was really doing. And they're like, well, we need to send something to the United States. So in 1954, 6 years later, they put together their pot still, their single malt, and the grain, and the world's first blended Irish whiskey was born. Tullamore Dew, 1954, arrived in the United States. And that was, of course, to compete with blended Scotch, which, of course, used lots of grain whiskey. And it's at the time, of course, as we said, the Irish whiskey was not in good shape. So in fact, it was so bad by 1954, they ceased production of whiskey at the facility at that. And then, which sucks. So then they would just work out on their left remaining stock, and also help theirs at a liqueur called Irish Mist, which still exists to this day. And they would use that whiskey to make with their Irish liqueur. Well, eventually, Teresa Williams, who was the granddaughter of Daniel, married Frank O'Reilly, who's the head of Powers. So as we know, the Powers family, very important also, which we've also never covered Powers. We've talked on a little bit on other streams, though. So they decided at this point in time to consolidate, and they brought over production over to Powers Distillery. Well, that was in 1960, because basically the stocks were running dry at Tullamore Dew at this point, and so we have to do something. So rather than restart it, they just moved everything to Powers. But 1966, they decided, well, we're really in trouble. So they decided to combine with Jameson and Bushmills to make distillers, Irish Distillers Limited, which is a huge deal. Which at that time, no one else was making whiskey. You get a little bit of Bushmills, and then all the other whiskey in all of Ireland was made there, moved to Midleton in Cork. That's it. There was no one else left. So at that point in time, it's now part of that brand. And by 1994, it became part of the Allied company, which then carved it off. So then they sold off to them also some other things. So they became really big in the German, the Czech, and the Slovakian market, and also Bulgaria. So very interesting. One of those markets, in fact, they're the number one, not Jameson in those countries. It is Tullamore Dew is the number one. It's number 2 in the world, though, as far as all of Tullamore Dew, even in the United States, which I did not know that prior to this. I figured Bushmills was number 2, but apparently not. It's Tullamore Dew. That's kind of cool. All right, and then by 2010, William Grant had taken notice of their massive market share they're starting to grab. Of course, as a major Scotch person, as we know, with the William Grant Group. And so they ended up buying them up along with Carolines, Irishman, and Frangelico, which then they sold off so they could build some other nice stuff. 2014, they reopened for the first time in 60 years a brand new distillery was opened up. First time in Whiskey Flow there in Tullamore again. So they turned the old barrel house there into the visitor center, which is very nice with another thing. But the big thing is now we're making pot still and single malt in 2014. There's no grain. So they're getting the grain then from Midleton. So we need to correct this and make this just Tullamore Dew. So in 2017, they installed a coffee still and a bottling line. So now they're the only distillery apparently in Ireland that does everything on one site. Everyone else does it in different places everywhere, but the very first one has all 3 types of stills and the first one to run it all there. So they're making everything, making all the blend there in-house. So very cool they're doing that. So apparently the cool things at the Distillery Tour is you can take a tour up to 5 hours long. That's a hell of a tour. Usually it's between 50 minutes and 5 hours. So that's quite a bit. So like I said, so they said that $100 million investment turned to all these amazing things. So like I said, so let's talk about what's in the bottle. They all are made this way. It's 40%. No one here is surprised it's 40%. It is a combination. All these are triple distilled of single malt, single pot still, and grain whiskey made on their coffee still. Then they're taken and put into refill barrels, ex-bourbon barrels, and sherry butts, and then all blended together. So, like I said, they're the market leader in most of Eastern Europe, and especially the Czech Republic and Slovakia. In fact, the Czech Republic has their own brand that we can't get here at Tullamore Dew. That's a honey-flavored Tullamore Dew made with Czech honey, which I'd like to try at some point in time. So if anybody can get a hold of that, let us know. That'd be really fun to try. All right, let's see what we think of this whiskey.
It's light, it's fragrant, it's fruity on the nose. It's a little bit on the sharp side. It gets a little bit into the metallic kind of sharpness, but it's not drastically down that path like some of them can get.
Yeah, it's not like Jameson, which has way more metallic to me than Jameson does. So yeah, it's nice, warm, baked bread, barley, yeast, butter.
Jameson's like licking an old spoon.
Yeah, this doesn't have it. It's just the faint background metallic, whereas Jameson is a very distinct metallic, I find.
Yeah.
A little bit like cornmeal, lemon lime, light honey. Like just that whiff of metallic on the back of the nose. Not overly complex, but nice.
I'm getting a floral component, like a rose and then a honeysuckle.
Yeah, honeysuckle for sure. I'm getting that. See the rose, yeah. It smells nice. I mean, I think it's nice. I mean, it's I think it's like $23. So the cool thing is about that. Now, this bottle happens to be from 2016. And so this would have been, at that point in time, all Midleton products. Because it's 2016, they didn't start distilling anything until 2014 there at the new Tullamore. So an Irish whiskey has to be 3 years old, even a blend. So we know this is all Midleton product. So if you can get a bottle that's like 2019, it'll be pot still single malt from Tullamore, but Midleton grain, which was still sourced at that point. But if you get anything made after 2020, that's going to be all Tullamore Dew. I think it'd be a really fun project to get all three and compare them and see how they are, how they taste. If they really are able to blend all that out just from an interesting standpoint. All right, let's see here. I guess we see how those taste.
The nose is nice. It's not anything special, but it's nice.
Mm-hmm. Not bad.
As is the palate. A little bit more heavy on the grain on the palate.
Yes,
I was expecting on the nose. I was getting a little bit more of the cereal grain, more of the barley markers.
Yes.
On the nose, but on the palate, to me, it's mostly what I would call either corn or rye. Probably corn whiskey from Ireland, triple distilled.
Yeah, you're like Granny Smith apple, dry banana chips, a little bit of pineapple. You know the malt and the bread, but those are definitely behind that. That slight metallic note again, some honey, like a fake vanilla, even like the fake, cooking vanilla you get. That's imitation vanilla, I guess would be the best word for it. A little nutmeg, some toffee.
Yep. A little bit of cinnamon on the second sip.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a cinnamon coffee latte.
Yeah. Second sip, you're right. That's where you definitely pick up the cinnamon. A little bit of coffee, like you said. But yeah, lots of banana too now. More on the second sip. But yeah, it reminds me of like those banana chips. You get like a trail mix.
Oh, dried banana.
Yeah, dry banana chips. Yeah.
Okay.
Or whatever you want to call them. Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah. For $23, I ain't mad.
No, I think for
I'm
Jameson and
assuming
Bushmills
40%.
are the same price. I'm not mad at all at that for $23.
It's thin. I'm assuming 40%.
Yeah, it's 40%. So
Yeah.
it's but it's a good triple distilled. And like I said, that's the world's, which I was unaware before I did this research. This was the world's first blended Irish whiskey, which I did not know. But it's very cool though. But yeah, I guess they said they've been making it since 1887. But one of the big things is they called it Tullamore Dew without the little periods on it. But William Grant and Sons, when they bought them, decided to really emphasize that he was the man behind this, and they put the periods to really put it for his name. He was just doing that it was the Dew, but they want to make sure you knew it was his initials and not just Tullamore Dew. So getting a man's due and all that fun stuff. But so yeah, a good job there, and I'm happy with it. Makes a nice bottle. It's good stuff.
I ain't mad about it.
Nope. So if you are looking to get in a little bit of Irish and you haven't had Tullamore Dew, I suggest you go pick some of this up. I think it's some nice stuff. I think we both could agree. I think we both like it better than Jameson. So yes. This and Bushmills are your three basic ones, but try this one too. I think you'd be happy with your purchase.
I agree. Don't you forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Click that notification bell. We're also live every Monday night. Come hang out with us there. Until next time, keep on crusading for better whiskey in your glass. Cheers.
All right. Then the rest of these should be really good.